to explain that the Taliban, when they took over, it was a civil war. And during the civil war, there was looting, theft, kidnapping, rape, unimaginable actions that were taking place. And so, even during that time, young girls did not feel safe, did not feel comfortable leaving. So, the Taliban era was a bit of a continuation, and there's so many narratives of why the Taliban did arise, um, because of the brutality that was also taking place during the Mujahideen area. I must tell you, it's an uncertain time. So as I speak to my members that are over 5,000 throughout Afghanistan and 24 provinces, when I ask them what's taking place, they describe the amount of fear. And I really have, it's taking me a number of days to really talk to them one on one, each girl, and differentiate the feeling that she's having versus what's actually taking place. And throughout those conversations, it finally is justified that the anxiety and the fear that these young girls are experiencing is because of what had been the direction of the government. These young girls do not want to leave the house because President Ghani was so strongly adamant that he was going to fight these monstrous creatures. He made them seem into creatures that no one can accept. So now the girls who've never experienced the Taliban or interacted with them are won't leave their house. Yesterday, a few of my girls who were courageous, one works at an embassy as a local staff, decided to step out dressed in normal attire, and she gave me a full report, not only me but to all the girls, to assure them, okay, I stepped outside the house. I showed my ID when they stopped me, and they allowed me to attend to work. But some of my girls in Kandahar said that actually the society is providing them with much more stricter regulations because they don't want any trouble with the Taliban. So the concern that I pretty much see here is I hope that the society itself stands up and operates as regular as normal, so we could see the boundaries that we can push with the Taliban and what kind of advocacy is needed. Based on the interview that we witnessed with the Taliban spokesperson, he indirectly provided a framework and stated what could happen, and those are the things that we must hold them accountable for. I know when it comes to women, they spoke very generic, and that is why I hope that anyone who's listening to this platform um, calls out on all the Islamic scholars. We need religious discourse. We need other scholars to provide us the proper vision of how women could have a standing place in society. Afghan society, they're very close to their families and very rarely would like to leave them behind. And it's a cultured society. The few girls that did want to leave are the ones that were active, that were act, that, that were active in civil society and spokespersons. So they feel an immediate threat. And they asked me to assist them. And of course, I provided all the assistance that I can. Their family also wants them to leave. But now when they see the hectic situation of the airport, they're terrified. And I want to also bring attention to the airport situation because it brings me such sadness to see everything that's been circulating on social media. This also has to this blame is given to President Ghani and to the international community. As soon as President Ghani fled, all of the posts were just left empty, and the Afghans decided to just get onto the field. Now, the Americans then decided to close the airport down so they can evacuate their staff and those with their interests, which was quite disappointing again because it's putting the interest of others on the soil of Afghanistan when it should be the interest of all. It's such a confusing time, and now we're hearing all these reports on about the airport that people are being stopped by the Taliban, and Taliban are actually searching flights. We have to really get to the bottom of this and observe very closely on what's happening on the ground, and hold the Taliban accountable. And how can the international community do this? Because the Taliban want international recognitions, they want economic bilateral agreements. We have to make sure that we use that as a carrot on the stick, that only if X, Y, and Z is met, and observe them very closely. I know there's certain agreements, monitoring agreements that could be signed with the UN. These type of events must be promoted. We cannot only speak about how the people feel. We must provide some sort of pathway. We can't let Afghanistan just enter another disastrous decade.